Hello. I'm here with my very good friends Matt and Ben for another episode of Bit Weird, but fair enough, I guess. Gentlemen, hello.
Hello.
Good evening.
Feeling weird, are you?
Always.
Yes. Yes. 1.5 thumbs up to that.
Appropriately weird answer, thank you. Well, if you've heard the back episodes, you've heard Matt and Ben before, but they are also stars of the Dad Pants podcast, and Matt has the Chattering Classes podcast, which is going along strongly as well. It's a nice interview-style podcast. Matt, what's the USP for Chattering Classes, would you say?
What does that mean?
A unique selling point.
Oh. Have you heard that before? Oh, why am I asking you, Wiggo? Of course, you haven't heard that before? You've worked in retail? No? The unique selling point. Well, it's not like other interview shows. What I do is I talk to people that I know in my life, and we talk about our lives. There
And
you
things
go.
they've done.
Things they've done. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Can't get that anywhere else on the internet.
And then when you ask the questions, they answer them.
Yeah, and generally they answer them, and then the next week I talk to a different person. That's the twist.
Well, hang on. We just got used to hearing one person. What are you saying?
Yeah, I know. That's why I know it's hard at first, but keep hanging in there. And,
Right.
yeah.
Well, we like to start this pod, of course, with the weird law.
Mm.
And the weird law I am presenting to you, gentlemen, today is this one. It's against the law to have a sleeping donkey in your bathtub after 7 p.m. in Arizona, USA. So this is one of those ones where you wonder whether it's been worded that way very deliberately or just carelessly, because, one may wonder, what if a donkey's just drowsy but only half asleep?
Yeah.
Well, what time do you have to set the alarm if they can't be in there after 7 p.m.? Like, how long does it take for a donkey to wake up and get on its way?
Well, no, it can be awake. It can be awake in the bathtub, as I understand the law.
That's the wording, yeah. Sleeping donkey in your bathtub. So all you need to do is at 6:59, just give it a slap on the chops.
Yeah.
Turn the water on, maybe.
Cold water, yeah.
Cold water. My question
on the hindquarters.
My question is the first thing I thought of, and then maybe the question should be, why did I think this? Was, what if the donkey is a heroin addict and has OD'd, is still alive, but not actually asleep? Like, are there bylaws for that? It's not actually asleep, nodded off.
Well, again, it's wording is everything.
Yeah.
If it said it's against the law to have a sleeping or smacked up donkey in your bathtub after 7,
yeah,
then, but it's if you're going to be specific, then you're going to have people challenging and seeing what loopholes, or not even loopholes, just seeing what they can get away with.
Or was that extremely specific market? The syringe designed for hoof use.
Oh, hoof syringes.
Yeah, hoof use. Yeah.
Well, we could get into the whole how a donkey would get a lighter and a spoon, etc., etc. We don't need to do that, I guess.
What about,
maybe a different podcast?
I suppose that
there's your unique selling point. This podcast talks about how a donkey would OD on heroin logistically.
There's the phrase between the toes, no one knows.
Yeah.
In the hoof, no visual proof. So I think you're right. It's probably being euphemistic with the term sleeping. It is junky donkeys.
The sickly junky donkey, the great kids book.
But where else would a fucking junky donkey sleep? Not when it gets the nods.
Yeah, exactly. The cool of the bathtub.
If you do have a using donkey in your area, remind it to get going in the morning so it's had time. So the law was brought into effect after a public menace case in 1924, where a merchant used to allow his donkey to sleep in a bathtub, but then the town flooded and the donkey was washed a mile down the valley. So the donkey survived, but locals spent a lot of time and manpower to save the animal. So the law was passed shortly after to make sure that, public funds weren't used in such a wasteful way again.
Would that, I mean, has there been a more specific law brought into place?
This is why I pick him. I love it.
Not for the donkey, but in case a donkey is asleep in a bathtub in a flood, and then it'll survive and float down in the bathtub, and then we have to rescue it.
But also, let's go back to the wording. Sleeping donkey. Okay, fine. Is a llama okay in there? What else can we put in a bathtub after 7 that's going to keep everyone happy?
But what about all the other donkeys?
Wouldn't it just be better if the law was next time there's a donkey floating down the river in a bathtub,
just leave it.
We just let the river decide. Like, there you go.
Or
Saves.
Instead of, a negative law, let's have a positive law. Every bathtub in Arizona has to be fitted with a mast and sails that can be lifted in times of flood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, a donkey coffee grinder style, or has to be designed to put its little hoof in.
I suppose. Yeah, I suppose, because obviously, precedence is that is only a problem for donkeys. Yeah, look, let's give donkeys some minor kind of sailing training. And then, they'll just kind of end up somewhere where they can easily hop out of the bathtub themselves without getting stuck. They can just, tacking. I think it's important that donkeys know about tacking.
Now you're getting into competitive flood bath donkey gear.
Sleeping donkey bath. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am now thinking about some sort of donkey yachting race.
Yes.
In bathtubs. But this is climate change will,
take care of this for us.
This is all coming. This will be a yearly event.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 1924, it said here, but, you won't be able to move for floating donkeys in Arizona soon.
Sleeping floating donkeys.
Yeah, that's true.
That's where, if you could train your smacked out donkey to be a good sailor, then happy days, because he can pretend to be asleep.
Did the smacked out donkey wake up and be like, woo, this is a good one. I'm on a river. What's going on?
Yeah. What kind of animal's up in the crow's nest? That's what I want to know.
Oh.
Anyway. So there's that. There's that. I thought you guys might enjoy that.
Lovely.
Matt, what have you brought us today?
Well, I wanted to let you know that you're familiar with the books that are, 1001 movies you should see before you die.
Yep.
1001 photos, 1001 songs, albums, that kind of thing.
Are you going to give us a weird example of one of those books?
It's not a weird example, but I wanted just to let you know the dangers of, I guess, context and when you actually make these books.
Yes.
Because I was at a friend's house and they had 1001 ideas that shaped the world.
Yeah, okay.
And it was published in 2010. I just sort of flicked at the start and then I flicked to the very last one. So at the start, there are things like Cartesian planes, Euclidean mathematics, Pythagoras theorem, the idea of a soul, like where these things first appeared and how they still have an impact today.
Mm-hmm.
The last entry, so again, all these amazing philosophical ideas that to us just seem like, well, yeah, of course there's numbers, but, someone actually had to think of it and all of this stuff that really changed our world. The last idea on the book, 2009, ideas that shaped or changed the world, crumping. So we've got all of these great works of science, theology, medicine, dating back, 3,000, 4,000 years, an equally transporting idea is crumping.
Look, obviously that's ridiculous, but I can understand the pressure that the writer was under.
Yeah.
Because, you've got 1,001.
982.
Yeah, we've got 980 good ones. What do we got?
What else have we got?
But also, like, these are all from centuries past. We need to have one from now.
Yeah. We need
All right,
more
what's
modern
happened in the
ones.
last year that's
Yeah.
going to resonate through time?
Yeah. Yeah. Some weird dance routine that people
Have
did.
they updated it?
Well, that's a good point. They probably have. And I would say crumping has been removed.
Probably now in the 1100s.
It did make me think of how many, like, what would be the current version of that. So if there's a current version of the book, is the last idea equally as fatuous as, like, I don't know, some kind of dance move that people did for about 3 months?
Yeah, like when that Harlem Shuffle.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That made me so angry. All right, let's say you're writing this book this year and you had to put something in from last year.
Yeah. So it's all going to be meme based, isn't it?
I suppose.
Yeah.
Because, I mean...
Oh, what about adding subtitles to TikTok videos?
So you can watch them with no sound under your covers at night. Yes.
No, genuinely, it would be
TikTok.
but more specifically, people just miming things on TikTok and that somehow being entertaining for people. A whole new entertainment form is just you can take lines from a TV show or a movie and just stand in front of your camera and mime them and get a very large reaction because that's entertaining. That's new. And is it going anywhere?
Hopefully.
I suspect not.
Well, yeah.
Well, we do sound like old men right now, but also, it doesn't mean we're wrong, does it?
No, absolutely not.
I think you're right on the money there. It would be TikTok related, whatever went in.
Yeah, be some meme based. No, what it would actually be would be the AI image generator and now
true.
The essay generator that you can do, text generator. That would be it.
Right.
Because that's not going anywhere.
Oh, man. You're a teacher. Are you saying there's an essay generator now?
Yeah, you can make pretty legitimate like essays in about 40 seconds.
What are you going to do about those?
Well, I saw an article today that was like, I can't remember which uni, but there's a uni somewhere in Australia that's just like, yeah, we can't fight this. All the work, essays will be done pen and paper. But they'd have to be in-class tests because you could still just copy what was written there. And I don't know. It's going to be one of those things where...
but then kids could say they're disadvantaged because they haven't needed to write a lot.
Yeah. So I'm guessing that's what's going to happen. There'll be more writing. We would have had this lovely grace period for students where they never had to write anything and then it'll swing back. I mean, at the school I'm at, we do... like the English students will do at least one in-class handwritten task a semester, so 2 a year. But I would say for essays and things like that, that's going to be more common. Like in class, you've got like an hour and a half or 2 hours to write an essay. You got to do it now. Rather than because anytime there's AI, because you can write, and I've sat with people and experimented. So you can write essays. They're not perfect and you'd have to polish them up. But you can, if I was a C student, if I was a C or a D student, you can literally type in C grade essay about whatever the topic is.
So it doesn't seem too good.
And it will be bland and repetitive and general. So then you're not cheating in the way of marks. You just don't have to do the work.
Damn it! Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not trying to get better marks.
No, I'm not. I'm not a C student who's trying to get an A. I don't want to do this essay. Oh, look, 40 seconds later, here's my essay.
Far out.
Yeah.
Get back on Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Far out.
I think the saving grace is probably that those AI image generators looked pretty munty in a lot of
it's-
cases.
They're
There's a
not
lot of
perfect.
melty faces.
Yeah,
a lot
and
of
they're-
melty faces.
A lot of melty faces, but it's like the people who created it are like, well, they're not good enough to be at a university level.
Hmm.
Which is why people are getting caught, because they're not at a university level, because they're just like, I don't know, they if you're lazy with it, then it's pretty easy to see that it's cheating, because it'll throw in a random word that doesn't quite fit, just like it does with melty faces. It'll be one sentence that doesn't make any sense, or has a vocabulary word that doesn't fit, which is what students get in trouble for anyway. It's like you're reading an essay and you're like, I think this has been plagiarized. There's already apps that you can do where you can plagiarize it and then it will convert it so it's untraceable, just enough that it's not plagiarism.
I thought you were going to say the essay AI, where you run your AI essay into this app.
You probably can do that.
It tries to fix the muntiness of the first time around.
It's probably So that's what's happening. That would be at the end of this book, but it probably wouldn't.
Right. And that's because of crumping.
Yeah, and so that'd be modern crumping.
All right.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm pretty
happy
happy
to play
about
around
that.
with this. I'm going to have a play around with this and just see what the hell happens.
With crumping.
Yep. Can I put my dance moves into a generator and it comes out crumping?
Put it in the crumping machine.
Yeah.
Maybe
that's just 7 beers.
Yeah. Hot Tub Crump Machine, maybe.
Well, there's your title.
Yeah. All right, Ben. Why don't you crack on then?
Gentlemen, I'd like to talk to you about the world's most violent sport.
Okay.
Hmm.
Now, one of the only rules is that murder is against the rules. All right?
Okay.
Is this the Italian one?
No, this is Shrovetide mob football, right?
Wow.
It's got very few rules, but murder and manslaughter are strictly prohibited.
No, hang on. How can you ban manslaughter if that's one of the only rules? It would be accident, surely.
All right. So I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question.
No, that's fine.
Stu.
Often I
shops
say
in the
things
town-
just for the sake of it.
I'm going to tell you a little story here. Shops in the town of Ashburn were boarded up ahead of the Shrovetide football match.
Hmm.
Shrovetide football, or mob football, dates back to the 12th century and attracts thousands of people to the town every year.
Mm.
The sport is obviously not for the faint-hearted. It's thought to have emerged in Europe in the Middle Ages and was played on Shrove Tuesday and Ash Wednesday in the Derbyshire town. Right? It involves an unlimited number of players on each team.
Yes.
Trying to move a large ball towards the goal by any means possible.
Oh,
all right. So the Ashburn game is played over 2 days.
Jesus.
Starts at 2 p.m. and finishes at 10 p.m.
So constantly.
So for 8 hours,
Right.
there are unlimited players on either team, and they get the ball, and it just says.
So you've got to have
just,
a night shift of players come on.
So it's 2 till 10, then you stop and you go back the next day, 2 till 10.
Correct. So 16 hours.
I see. Right.
Yep. The game has only a handful of rules. Players are not allowed to commit murder
Okay.
or manslaughter, and the ball cannot be put into a bag or driven in a motorized vehicle.
Again, that's a law. That's a donkey in a river law.
That's right.
Yes. Well, hang on.
Can you use a donkey in a bathtub? Is that what
Can
you
you
suggest?
sailing-
A sailing donkey seems to qualify.
It does. Also, cemeteries, churchyards, and the town memorial gardens are strictly out of bounds.
Right.
Right.
So it's been told that all of the stores in the town are boarded up for 3 days without fail.
Right.
Like literally no one opens.
So the
during this
town's
time.
the whole field.
The town. It's literally from the So there are where are most. The game is a contest between the two sides of Ashbourne. Players are assigned to a team according to which side of the town's central stream, Henmore Brook, they
Here's
are
a
born.
stream. Here we
There
go.
is a stream. There we
Bathtub.
go. People born in the north are the Uppards, who try and get the ball to the old Sturson Mill.
Right.
And Southerners are known as the Downards, and their goal is the old Clifton Mill.
So if you had, let's say on your side, you had a bit of a tourniquet specialist, right?
Yep.
Could you just go along with a scythe and just hack feet and hands of the other team? Anyone who tried to touch the ball from the other team, they lose their feet and hands. And then your tourniquet specialist is following you along, tourniqueting them up so they don't die.
So you've got all the doctors in the town reattaching all the hands and feet as you go.
Like a goal kicker in the NFL who just comes on, like they're just running around, tourniqueting people up. They don't touch the ball and they don't worry about the ball. That's not their concern.
The only problem is what if there's a player on the other team who's also got a scythe, and then they're just trying to hack your
a
tourniquet
scythe off.
Yeah,
Oh, look,
trying to hack the tourniquet's hand off.
I didn't think that this would work, 2 years in a row. This is a 1 year only deal.
There'll be a new rule for next year, but we get away with it this year. That's
right. Or you just make sure you bought up the whole town supply of scythes before the date for what was it? Pancake Tuesday.
No one's importing. Yeah. No one's importing sides. Basically, the game's over when a ball is tapped 3 times against one of the goals, and the standard process, or in spite of being called football, the ball is rarely kicked, but instead tends to be moved by hugs. So giant rolling scrums of players made up of hundreds of people.
Wow.
So it's like it's like an enormous rugby game.
Yeah,
massive maul.
You could kind of just go and chain yourself to the other team's goal because they got to tap it, so they got to go through your head.
Just playing defense.
Can't kill me. Can't kill me. Can't kill me.
All right.
I couldn't get much more detail because everything was behind paywalls. So there've been heaps of stories written about this, but I couldn't get.
That's fine.
So I couldn't get into it.
People can do that
further.
Do your own research.
Yeah.
Do some on cloud seeding while you're there. It's a bit weird, isn't it? Do you know what the ball's made of?
Well,
yes, good question.
no, but it's a good question.
Does it have
$2 a month to know what the ball's made of?
Yeah, that's right.
Does it have anything about like how quickly the game is usually won? Because if it's a 16-hour game, like
it doesn't have any information about
stats.
Who's won it. Like what's the quickest time? Does it just end in a draw? Like is it like a test match?
Yeah.
Or is it just
also at the at the end of the first day,
like a big hoot at the end of the day?
Right, yeah.
And do they pick the ball up and put like a token down, like it's on a golf green, just to mark where the ball was?
That's a good point. Yeah,
the next day.
Good question. Good question. I mean, is there a referee?
What's he doing though? Making sure.
How do you ref that if you're one person and there's literally hundreds of other people?
You're just checking people's pulses.
Well, maybe you're driving. Maybe they've bought in drones. Maybe there's some great drone work.
How many fake mauls do you think there would be? We could set up like 12 different scrums and all run off in a different direction.
Like the old tuck the ball under your jumper routine.
How many different mousetraps could you run?
Yeah. That takes 8 hours just doing the mousetrap. Everyone running over the top of it. Yeah, wow.
Well, what a sport. What's that called again?
It is called Shrovetide Mob Football.
Wow. They didn't bury the lead with the title, did they?
With the title,
no.
It's the when and the what in big letters.
I'm guessing there's an age limit too, so that must be interesting. To have an age, the age limit, and when you're approaching that age group, how either excited / terrified you would be.
Yeah. Hey Johnny, you seem to take a trip to Brighton at around this time every year.
What's going on? Yeah.
When you come back, you look like you've had the fuck beaten out of you.
Well,
Wow.
imagine because you have to be born in the town
in the town, right?
to compete.
Oh,
Yeah. You don't want them
that's my
outsiders.
understanding, right? Like you can't get any ringers in. Like you can't get 3/4 of the English rugby side in.
but no, I suppose not. But also the flip side of that is, what if you're born there and just kind of move by the age of 10 and you're successful, merchant banker, but you have to go back each year just for this one thing where you go absolutely mental for 2 days.
Yeah, it's like the purge. Get out of your system for the year and then
Carry
get back
on.
into it.
There was great rejoicing.
All right. Well, thank you for that. Now I'm going to move on and ask you a question, gentlemen. Have you heard of Atlantis?
Yes.
Yes.
You're aware of
Lost
Atlantis?
City, yes.
Yeah. Have you heard of New Atlantis?
Sorry, New Atlantis?
Yeah, New Atlantis.
No.
All right. Well, New Atlantis was a micronation formed by Lester Hemingway, the brother of Ernest Hemingway.
Right.
Okay.
So in 1964, Lester Hemingway constructed a raft and had it towed 9.7 k's off the coast of Jamaica. The raft was mainly made of bamboo, steel, iron piping, and rock. It was anchored on a shallow ocean bank. It had an old Ford engine block, and the raft measured 2.4 meters by 9.1 meters.
Right.
The spot that the raft was anchored was in international waters.
Right.
That raft was declared an island by Lester Hemingway, and it was established as a constitutional republic in July 4th, 1964.
Jeez. Any coups?
Oh,
He cooed himself.
yeah. Well, maybe of the pigeon variety. That's about it. Or gulls, perhaps.
Oh dear.
So
I have a question, and sorry, it's not really relating to the
story at
to
all.
New Atlantis. It's no, but it's more about how deep is an
My
ocean
love.
bank. Like how deep? How do you anchor something that's 10 k's off the?
Well, it was so he found a shallow
shelf.
ocean bank. So I
Right,
assume
right.
that's either a shoal or a
Or a
small
reef
atoll
or something
something.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, some sort of small atoll. I do like the word atoll.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Sorry.
Any more to add to that?
No. But I'm definitely going to look into that because it does seem like such a strange thing.
Yeah.
I'm just
the
out in
French
middle of the
didn't like
ocean.
atolls. They
No,
they were
try to
very
blow 'em up, didn't they?
anti-atoll.
love to nuclear
Very.
bomb the hell out of them
Yeah.
for many decades.
Just to see what was happening underneath it.
Anywho, yeah, so he claimed the area around his raft as part of his republic. He wrote a constitution with a typewriter and copied it pretty much exactly from the Constitution of the United States.
Right. Yep. He's
He
the
argued-
early AI. That's what he was
Yep.
doing.
Well, and Constitution AI. Just write, just get the app to do it for you. So he argued that his raft was technically an island and based his sovereignty on the Guano Islands Act of 1856.
Those bloody guanos.
Yeah.
This is an odd bit. I missed this first time round. He claimed the unoccupied half of his raft was United States territory, while the other half was the nation of New Atlantis. So it's only half his raft is actually
So half the land. Okay. So half of
For
it was
what-
US.
For what reason? Like, what reason would he want to?
I don't know. That was one sentence, and there's no further explanation. I missed it first time round. That's a bit weird, but I don't know if it's fair enough. Cop this. By 1965, there were 6 inhabitants of New Atlantis. This included Lester, his wife, Doris, and their 2 daughters, a public relations specialist called Edward K. Moss, and his assistant, Julia.
Hang on. There's 6 of them living on a raft.
Half a raft.
Half a raft.
Half a raft.
Did any of them secede and like, I'm out of here?
Invade.
Invade
US territory.
Yeah, I'm out of here.
Well,
I renounce my citizenship.
Who issues passports?
Yeah, true.
Well, that's the thing. But again, going back to the drones, we go, this day and age, the US could pop just a constant drone over their half of the raft just to make sure there's no incursions. You know?
Yep. That's right.
Far out.
The group unanimously elected Lester as the president. So how about that?
I bet they
At
did.
knife point.
Yeah. There was some kind of weird stuff going on with the voting machines, apparently, but nothing that hasn't.
I'd love if we won 4-2. That'd be great.
Well, they had to wait 40 years for the postal votes to come in.
Yeah, to go trickle in. Yeah. Oh dear.
His election got a significant press coverage, by the way, particularly in neighboring Jamaica. Hemingway's goal was to experiment with democracy and to research marine life. I don't know why you need to establish a new nation to research marine life. I don't know, maybe he was getting taxed to hell and didn't like it. He formed the International Marine Research Society, which the organization headquartered on the raft.
He's a busy guy. Like he's
got a lot.
There's a lot going on this raft.
In this country, you mean?
Yeah.
What's the GDP? What's the GDP of the country? That's what I want to know.
I have a question. How does Luxembourg feel about this?
Or Liechtenstein. I was reading about Liechtenstein earlier. Crazy. Why bother?
No.
That's their motto.
Just going back to those elections, do you reckon they had, 3 televised leaders debates?
Just several that took like 4 years to elect an opposition and then another 4 years to actually do it. I don't know. Was there only one election or did they have it every 4 years?
Well, I don't know how long it lasted, really. I don't know if we got to the end of a full cycle. So
midterms?
Yeah. So stamps were printed, of course. And
stamps?
Yeah, with New Atlantis stamps.
Okay.
And so Hemingway planned to finance his operations and the new country with the sale of the stamps.
Right.
Unfortunately, Universal Postal Union refused to recognize their validity, pretty much knocking New Atlantis' economy for 6 right there.
But I suppose if your economy is based on stamp sales, then I don't know. I don't really like your business plan.
Well, this was the 60s. Maybe things were different. Maybe the stamp industry was booming.
Yes.
I see where you're going with it. But are there any of those stamps still lying around?
Oh, well, yeah, there's pictures of them. When you say lying around, I don't really know how to answer that. I assume someone's got them somewhere.
Yep.
So they had their own currency, which was called the scruple. It consisted of little trinkets such as fish hooks, little carob beans, shark teeth, and other miscellanea. A flag was sewn by Doris Hemingway, his wife. So, this is all go. Everything's all go on New Atlantis.
I mean, in all seriousness, there is obviously some kind of mental illness within the Hemingway family that wasn't just limited to Ernest, and I believe his father.
Yeah, strictly no shotguns on the raft.
I don't understand.
I found.
They're quite skilled fisher people, though, I would imagine.
Old men in the sea,
Yeah.
He
He was a useless fisherman, though. Caught a
they
big
survived
fish
for...
Well, all his fish hooks were used as currency. That's a problem.
Yeah, that's a problem. Yeah, I guess so. He was rich when it came to currency.
Fish hooks, getting new batch of fish hooks in was probably a bit hard on New Atlantis. Hemingway planned to expand his domain. He claimed the seafloor 50 feet below the raft and intended to create artificial islands by piling rocks up.
There you go, 50 feet. All right.
A couple of years after being established, New Atlantis was destroyed by tropical storms.
Oh, no. Well, I mean,
A
it wouldn't
couple
be
of
the only
years.
micronation that gets destroyed by storms. Might have been the first. It won't be the last.
No. Yeah, so there you go. Micronations. There's quite a few of them. In Australia, we've got Hutt River Province.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of that. That's just, again, one nutter deciding that they can't be bothered with anyone and want to just have themselves and deal with themselves and call themselves a leader and
The king and
that's it.
whatever it is. Yep.
Yeah. And they want their noggin on some money or on a fish hook in this instance. So there you go.
All right.
New Atlantis.
Wow. Very
Wow.
impressive.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Micronations. So again, I know literally flogging a dead horse, aren't we? But could a donkey in a bath become a micronation? If they didn't save it, it would have flown out into the ocean,
I thought you were going to say.
become its own micronation.
I thought you were going to say could that have been New Atlantis' transport system?
It's donkey bathtubs.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, it'd be international transport.
that's right.
You know?
That wouldn't even be in the top 3 maddest things about New
No,
Atlantis.
true. Yeah. I don't know, like doing heroin deals by, oh, yeah, drug mules. No, of course. There it is.
God, it took us a while to get to
It
that.
took us way too long to get to that, didn't it?
Wow.
That's
Talk
poor.
about being slapped in the face with a joke for
There are
hours.
people listening just have been screaming that
Yes.
for 45 minutes at us.
Correct. Ugh. All right. I'm going to move along to the product of the week.
Oh, yeah.
And it is called Blacks and Whites, the Role Identity Vintage board game.
Oh my God. I thought it might have been a bleach.
So in 1970, Psychology Today published a board game where players were divided into white and black, and you had to make economic progress while competing with the other race. So it's based on Monopoly, and the idea was to demonstrate how the odds were stacked against black people in society. So both teams had different rules. Whites started out with $1 million and blacks only had 10K. And each race had different cards in their opportunity decks. So whites could buy property in any part of the board and blacks were limited to certain areas until they accumulated at least 100,000 or were just banned from properties in a suburban zone.
Oh, my God.
And
People in 1970 were like, let's just make a few notes here. All right. We can just carry this over.
Yeah, it was conceived as a painless way for middle-class whites to experience and understand
I was going to say, this
the
sounds like
frustration of blacks.
helpful middle-class white people saying, how do we show the struggle of poor black people by basically showing you how good it is to be white?
Yeah, and having fun along the way.
Yeah.
I mean, this is 50 years ago, and it's hard to be kind of mad about it because the intentions were good.
Yeah, and
Question mark?
you know what? I'm sure there have been similar things that teachers have done to sort of show. I'm going to create an interactive lesson where we do this, like a creative role play, where we show the inequalities, but they often go poorly because that's what happens. You know, I know that it has happened where they did that with a year 8 class, not obviously the same thing, but they set up a creative role play where they sort of divided the class. And what it led to was half the class doing a white power chant just because that was fun. They just thought that was funny because they were in charge.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, this isn't working.
As we had imagined.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's just reinforcing.
Yep.
Yeah.
We should probably have role played this first.
I wonder how any black people playing this felt playing it. Did they feel like they were being really supported?
Yes, and I'm sure the people designing it, there's a photo somewhere of them playing it where they made the black players
people
be the white people.
Yeah.
And then
equality.
Racism. Yeah. Racism be gone, equality. Board game.
Yeah, the cover of the game has a black person with a white background and a white person with a black background. You can actually, if you want to play blacks and whites, you can buy it from weirdshitYouCanBuy.com for $329. I assume that's American. So, you can get in there and buy that if you want it. Do your bit for society, fuck
yeah. Come on.
Is there something on there saying 5 bought in the last hour?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay, right. Just checking.
And what suburbs they were bought in? Yeah. Are they suburbs that should be excluded from?
I wonder if the people who created it had told themselves that the reason why no one bought the game was because the game proved itself that it was never going to be popular because it's so stacked against it. It's basically just talking about white privilege. So that's the main reason why that game didn't sell many, was because that's what we were trying to prove. Therefore, we're very smart. Not
look. I could also argue that they're charging $329 for a board game, which may be part of the reason why it didn't sell very well.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I don't think they were in 1970.
Yes.
This is a nostalgia piece now.
I don't think it costs the same as a car or something like that.
Well,
to play.
Hey, you don't know. They may.
The only way they could have done that was to make it $329 for black people to play and 35 cents for the white people.
Maybe I somehow got on the black person's site. Damn it.
Yeah, you've got your VPN on wrong.
Refresh.
Also weird stuff that I found this afternoon as I was just sort of wandering through some weird stuff. So you're more likely to get malware on a religious website than you are on a porn site.
How about that?
I'm not surprised by that. And with respect to any religious people listening, I would suspect that would be because people think they're probably a little touch more gullible, maybe.
Yeah. Like, hey, click here if you want to get more God in your life.
Click here for salvation.
Yeah, sure.
Click. Okay. A parting oddity. That's how we end the show. I just throw a little parting oddity at you for your delectation. You can have a little taste of it and we'll be on our way. Whales from different parts of the world have different accents.
Oh, that's cool.
So a trio of researchers working off the coast of the Caribbean island, back in the Caribbean again, of Dominica, have found evidence that suggests whales living in the Caribbean have a different accent to whales living in other oceans.
That's fucking cool.
Is it too obvious to say that those Caribbean whales probably, have a bit of a Caribbean drawl?
Like patois style, you mean?
Yeah. Like very chilled.
Yep. I'm very happy to talk about it, and I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
Because I've learned.
I was close.
I played a game in 1970, and I learned some things.
And that's why it's a parting oddity, because I throw it out there and we get out. There's no need for any more. Gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you.
What a pleasure.
You're both very weird, and so I appreciate you bringing it here.
Lovely.
Absolute pleasure.
You can catch Dad Pants and the Chattering Classes. Guess where? Where you get your fucking podcasts, of course. So, yes, farewell until next time, unless there isn't one. This is an Angry Chimp podcast.